Am I the a-hole for telling my son he can't run anymore? I have two sons, one is 18, the other is 15. Both live with me. This is about the 18-year-old, who we shall refer to as Tyler. Tyler is morbidly obese and has recently decided to lose weight by running, as he wants to become healthier. Originally, I was very supportive of that idea and proud that he chose to do so. However, because he works and attends university, this means that he runs at night or at dawn. He takes the dog with him sometimes, and occasionally his best friend joins him. I told him that, if he wanted to run, he had to choose better hours, because during the night/dawn, something could happen to him, and I'd never know, and generally, only shady people loiter at the night. He counter-argued by saying he stuck to well-lit areas, and that his geolocation on Snapchat was always on, per my request, so it wasn't like I couldn't find him. I told him that this was a red line, and we didn't talk about it. Last night, I found him sneaking in at around 10 o'clock after a run, despite it being after his curfew. I was upset, and today, I told him that he was not allowed to leave the house with my permission, nor break his 9 o'clock curfew, and that if he wanted to act like a baby, he'd be treated like one. Apparently he told his father, "We're divorced," because I got a text calling me an asshole for treating Tyler like a baby when he was an adult. Am I the a-hole? I want to look out for his safety. Gee, I wonder why he's so obese. Perhaps because eating is the one thing he can control in his life. Now he's trying to take control in a healthier manner, and mom is still insanely controlling, and he's in college. 9 PM curfew? Stalking him with an app? Grounding him? Mom is a totally insane controlling a-hole. Quote, OP has underlying resentment to her son for trying to lose weight and become healthy, unquote. That's actually what I was thinking. If Tyler stays morbidly obese, he's probably not going to be moving out of home anytime soon. Probably not going to start dating. Probably not going to have a wide and varied social circle. Probably not going to be adulting too much at all. If his attempts at getting healthy and gaining control of his weight and life fails, then he will more than likely be hobbled to op for a huge part of his life. Some parents like and need that sort of dependence. The lengths at which OP seems to be sabotaging Tyler's efforts speak to much more unhealthy underlying issues. OP is divorced. Tyler is the oldest. I wouldn't want to speculate, but a parent sabotaging the eldest child's efforts to leave home and get their own life is not a new scenario. Quote, if he wanted to act like a baby, he'd be treated like one, unquote. Who's the baby here? You're too afraid of the dark to even let someone else go running? He's a large, technically, adult male. Going running at night or in early morning hours is normal and not inherently dangerous. Putting a 9 PM curfew on an 18-year-old is absurd. Discouraging someone who is obese from exercising when they have the time is absurd. Saying only shady people loiter at night about going running after dark is absurd. You're the a-hole. Don't be like this. If you keep it up, you are going to force your son to choose between being a self-sufficient adult and keeping you in his life. It sounds like he is a reasonable guy, so he will probably choose the former. Also, I'm confused about the part where Op says he can't run at night because something could happen and she would never know. She goes on to say that she caught him finishing his run at 10 PM. Here's where the confusion lies. If OP caught him coming in from a run, she's obviously awake at 10 PM, so if he got hurt, he could call her? And what about all the other times he's not in her direct line of sight? Something could happen to him on a run in broad daylight and the same thing would be true, unless OP is suggesting her obese adult male son is going to be a prime target for kidnapping. In which case I believe she's too far off the deep end for saving. I'll rephrase for you. I have a morbidly obese son whose life is in danger from being overweight, but wants to get healthy. He runs at convenient times, where 90% plus of runners say is the ideal time, so they maintain a job, life, family time, etc. Because the sun isn't up, he's running at the time that's safest for his body. He is old enough to serve in the military, but I give him the curfew a Baptist parent gave me when I was 14. He's too big to kidnap. He has a dog with him, getting necessary exercise, carries a GPS, and spend quality time with his friend, being healthy instead of drinking, smoking weed, playing video games, etc. Dude, his curfew is before The Bachelor even ends. Clarify, are we talking about the 15-year-old here? You're the a-hole, times 100. You're the a-hole. Info, would you try to prevent him from learning to rock climb or other potentially dangerous activities? There's inherent risk in a lot of workouts, and running during the day isn't necessarily safer as there is usually more traffic on the roads. Has he completely ruled out showing you his routes so that you can see them for yourself? Are there other activities that he would be willing to explore, and would you be willing to foot the cost for them if he can't afford it himself? I understand being a parent and worrying about your kids, but I'm wondering if some of this might be you expecting your son to manage your anxiety for you. You're the a-hole in every single way possible in this scenario. This kind of thinking caused my mother and I so many problems. I moved out of her house and was almost 30, needed her help with nothing, and she still thought she was entitled to know my every move. She would get upset when I drove a few hours out of state for a day trip to the beach with friends she knew. She'd get upset when I wouldn't answer my phone right away because I was at work, and it worried her that she couldn't get in touch with me straight away. She'd get upset when I wouldn't answer texts immediately. When she found out I was out late after work instead of being home in bed. Eventually, she couldn't get in touch with me at all, and she never knew where I was for months. If you think being overbearing and trying to control your adult child's every move is going to work out for you, you'll learn that lesson right quick, just like my mother did. We worked our relationship out very quickly, but only because she learned very quickly that if she wanted to continue on with a relationship with her grown-ass almost 30-year-old daughter, she better start treating me like an adult, seeing as I had been one for nearly 12 years. Edit. To clarify, I moved out at 16, essentially. I was accepted to a boarding school for gifted students focused in science and mathematics education at 16. Went to college immediately after graduating high school. Moved back in with my parents for a very short while, less than a year, and moved back out on my own. Never went back home. I just recently started watching My 600 Pound Life. I know it's been on for multiple years, so this is probably old news for some of you, but the biggest takeaway from that show that I got is that it is absolutely impossible to get to be 600 pounds without an enabler in your life. Every one of the people on that show had a mom or a spouse or a sibling who went out and got them the worst possible foods day in and day out. Many of them actively sabotaged their weight loss and openly expressed that they were afraid of their loved one losing the weight and moving on from them. Now, I'm not saying that OP's son is 600 pounds. I don't think he could run if he was. But this definitely has that feel to it. OP thinks she can control her son forever, and one way she can do that is to keep him fat and never let him become a functioning adult who makes his own decisions. It's a sad dynamic, whether or not he ever gets that large. Thanks for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe for more videos. See you all later.